Horn with the bow, baby, in rifle season, Pennsylvania.
I just got my first eye with the bow.
Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Relive the Hunt podcast. I am your host, Cole Mountain Sightsinger, here with Tom Titlow and Russ Horn as our guest for the day. How's it going, guys?
What's up, boys?
What's happening?
We are going to get into Russ's 2018 hunting season in a little bit, but in the meantime, it's February. And I've been out shed hunting. Tom has been out shed hunting. Russ, what have you been up to?
I've just been working a lot. Super busy with work. Things are going good, so I've just been kind of focused on that. Got out to ATA this year with Tom and George. That was a blast.
Oh, it was a great time.
As always, saw some new products and met some awesome new people, as always. Caught up with some old friends. And looking forward to next year for that.
Awesome. What, as far as product lines go, what's your favorite thing coming into 2019?
I think it's going to be the Exodus Render trail cam. It's a cellular model, and that's kind of been long anticipated. They have an awesome app for the camera called Scout Tech. Allows you to change the settings from your camera right from your phone. It's a super easy, user-friendly app. The Exodus cameras are just quality picture takers. There's no doubt about that.
For sure.
Yes, I got my hands on that camera in Harrisburg, and I'm excited for it.
I am as well. I actually did the pre-order after I saw it at Harrisburg. I was like, I have to get my hands on one of these. And before the podcast, Russ and I were just talking about how cell cameras are, the new form of scouting for an area where you don't want to have high pressure scent.
Absolutely.
Anything. You want to be scent free, you got to get a cell cam. And what better way to get a pre-order from Exodus and the Render?
Yeah, I don't know if they're sold out on that pre-order yet, but I would recommend getting one for the price and for everything that they put into that camera. I'm pretty sure they thought of everything, so it looks awesome. I'm excited to use it. I'm a fan of cell cameras already. I think we all run them in one form or the other. So that Exodus trail camera, that's going to be fun. It's based off of their Lift 2 camera, and I believe still carries a 5-year warranty, which is, how can you beat that?
Absolutely. Yeah, not possible.
So, shameless Exodus plugs there because they rock, and that's like 90% of my trail cameras right now.
Same here.
100%.
Unsponsored.
Yeah,
Unsponsored. But so that's awesome. That's coming into 2019. They should be shipping them soon, Russ, and I'm excited for that product as well. Other than that, honestly, I don't get into the whole new product thing that much.
We believe in what we believe in, and kind of we don't fix what's not broke, I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to truly believe in something to want to use it to begin with, and just the new stuff every year doesn't get me that excited anymore.
Yeah.
Like it may have when I was a little bit younger.
That's one thing. It's easy to get caught up with in the whole keeping up with the Joneses, I guess you could say, in the industry, trying to have the latest and greatest. And sometimes
absolutely.
You don't need it. If it's not broke, don't fix it. There's always stuff. There's always improvising and new products that come out that really, set you apart in your game, in your chase. And I can honestly say that those render cams are definitely going to be one of those.
Yeah, I actually find myself becoming more simplistic with everything that I do.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Absolutely.
No, absolutely. One other thing.
And I enjoy that a little bit more, I think.
Definitely. One other thing I saw out of ATA this year, Sika revealed their new Fanatic suit, and it is actually awesome. I like it. A lot of new pockets, new designs, zipper designs. The material is, I believe, like 20% quieter, if that's even possible, because it was quiet already, extremely warm. I really liked how they took away the poofiness around the ankles below the knee, so you can slip it into your muck boots or whichever.
And the arms.
Yeah, and the arms as well. So I'm looking forward to that because that's. I'll tell you what, I would not have made it through my Ohio trip without that suit. Hands down. I mean, it was below 30 degrees. It was constantly raining or snowing. The wind never went below 10 miles an hour. So it was clutch.
It's definitely great gear. There are a lot of Sika haters out there, but you can't deny quality. But it is what it is, and I'm a firm believer in the Sika gear as well. I rock a lot of their gear, and I can attest that it is some of the best stuff I've ever worn, and that's another unsponsored plug there by myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't even wear it anymore, but anyone that has worn it, I don't see how they could ever talk bad about it.
Yeah,
It's good quality gear. I think people just bash the price point more than anything.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Maybe they can't afford it, so they bash it because what do you need that high-tech camo for? But it is awesome stuff. I mean, I wore it for a whole season, and I loved it. I honestly can't find anything that compares to it. I just don't need to go out and buy more camo. So
True that. So, Russ, do you have any upcoming trips or plans to go anywhere out of state besides Pennsylvania this upcoming season?
I do. I'm planning an Alberta bear trip for May, spring bear.
Very cool.
So I'm looking forward to that. That's with John and Jen Ribbit, living the dream. I met John this past year. He is an awesome guy. Super nice, super down to earth, and we've been kind of going back and forth in email. We met out at ATA, setting everything up, and so I'm looking forward to that come middle of May. And then other than that, I have.
So I know we're going to jump into your 2018 season here, Russ. Before we dive straight into Ohio, though, this is one of the first years I think I've known you to not fill a bear or a buck tag in PA.
Yeah, you are 100% right
Let's
there.
Let's talk about why that happened
a
little bit and how your PA season kind of went down.
Yeah, so I coach football. So early fall is extremely tough for me to get out on weeknights. And I had a buck that I named Pretty Boy return, and he kind of just blossomed into this freak like rack deer. He was 4.5 years old. He had again another third antler, not quite as big as Hook's, but he had a third antler, and I had him patterned out. And I was like, you know what, this first week I got to jump on him while the summer pattern is still the same. And I had a guy that was supposed to come film for me that night, the first Wednesday of the week. So I got out of football a little bit late. He couldn't make it, and I ran to the field to jump in my tree stand. And at that point, I have my bow, I have my camera, I have my ozonics, I have all my stuff. And I get to the fence row, to the field where my stand is, and I look out, and boom, there he is already in the food plot. So I was like, man, I gotta improvise a little bit here. So got rid of my pack, got my camera over my back, my bow, my ozonics. Luckily, it was a ladder stand, and I shimmied up backwards without spooking the deer.
That's awesome.
What?
So does the ladder face the field?
So it does. It does. And there's like two small saplings in between, but I mean, he was within 100 yards. Luckily, the wind was in my favor, not his.
That's awesome.
So I ended up getting up there, and I'd left my camera arm and base in the tree from the weekend before. So I left that there, and all I had to do was, screw in my camera, screw in my ozonics, hang up my bow, and I was golden, and I managed to get up in that tree. By the time I get up there, it's the first Wednesday of the season. It's like 80 degrees. I I screwed my ozonics in, flipped it on, and I was like, oh my God, just kill my scent, kill my scent. I was sweating like a pig. And I knocked an arrow, hung my bow up, got my camera out, and he just casually fed out back towards the woods, went into the woods with a couple other deer. And about 10 minutes later, about 15, 20 deer fed out across the food plot, working left to right. And 10 minutes later, after that, he came back out, and I was like, this is amazing. If this goes down, this is going to be crazy. So he came out. He fed across. I ranged him at 80. He kept coming. I ranged him at like 41. And at that point, I'm like, all right, I have all these other deer underneath me. So I just kept watching them, and they could see me. If I would have made like sudden fast movement, they would have picked me off. So I had to be very cautious. And he was closing in. So he came in a little bit closer. I ranged him one last time. I hit him at 25. I put the rangefinder back in my pocket. I turn, I adjust the camera, I hit record, I'm focusing it, and at the same time, I grab my bow, knowing that he was at 25 yards. I hook onto my D-loop and draw in motion as I'm turning to him, and I just sink my 20-yard pin right on him, right behind the shoulder, and I shoot, and it was one of those shots where you see the arrow going, and you're just jumping out of the tree trying to catch it and stop it. I didn't realize that in that 15 to 20 seconds I had my eye off him, he came to 12 yards. And I sent him an arrow high in no man's land. And he took off. I originally thought, man, maybe I spined him and he was, going to fall over, or, maybe the shot was better than it looked. But then I reviewed the footage, and it was hands down the worst shot I've ever made.
What do you think caused the shot to do what it did? Do you know?
I think what happened is just user error. I ranged him at 25, and I had my eyes off him, and when I hooked on my bow and I drew and opened to him, I didn't even take the time to look at his body again. I just drew back, put my pins right on him, thinking he was still in the same spot, and it was just user error. Put that 20-yard pin on him right behind the shoulder, and I let it go, and he was already at 12 yards. So I definitely hit him high, and
so you knew right
there was
away.
No luck there. Oh yeah, absolutely. And I reviewed the footage from the tree, and it just wasn't a vital shot. I still searched. I searched that night. I searched the following day. I then went out Sunday thinking, absolutely.
In case you got something vital somehow.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was the thing. From the angle, I thought maybe shooting down, I would have clipped something on the other side.
Yeah, steep enough.
And I put a heck of a hole in him. So
that's one of the worst feelings as a hunter to ever experience. And we kind of talked about it with the last podcast with Greg, and
he went through
he went through it, but was able to actually recover the deer. He didn't make a great shot on his buck, and we talked about how you feel like a piece of dog crap. And,
sleepless
nights.
Yeah,
I've been through it. We all been through it, and it's just part of hunting, like we said in Greg's podcast. But yeah, it's a shame, man. That's a tough one.
What did you ever get any other pictures of that deer? Did you ever see him throughout the season?
No. So he I did not see him in person again throughout the season. He disappeared off the grid. That happened like I said, the first week of the season in September here in Pennsylvania, and I did not get a picture of him until my neighbor sent me a picture of him the week before PA rifle season, and the deer was skin and bones, hunched over, and I just couldn't believe he was still alive. And that was the only sign of him. We didn't see him again. We didn't get any more pictures of him. So it's kind of a mystery.
Yeah, that's amazing. Sometimes a deer like that could be back the next night. And then in this case, it's like he completely avoids your property.
Yeah.
Where
it's
did he
crazy
go?
because
What is he doing?
yeah, he's lived there his whole life, and he's wintered there. He's dropped his sheds there, um, and you know, and that happens and it just pushes him off the farm.
I've had that happen a few years back where I shot a buck high in the back, and that was actually a crazy situation there where I hit the deer and the arrow kind of like rode up the rib cage and shot out high on the other side and went right through no man's land. And within a week, I started getting trail camera pictures of the same deer in the same exact area. And then in rifle season that year, a buddy of mine shot that buck literally probably within 30 yards of where I shot him with the bow.
Yeah, that's crazy. That is crazy. They feel extremely safe, and then they have an incident like that happen to where basically almost mortally wounds them, and they still stick it out and hang tight.
Yeah,
I found a broadhead in Speedy this year after he was butchered, and I went back. Looked at the pictures, and I realized he was shot in the fall of 2017. He was shot somewhere in the shoulder area.
Man,
it takes a lot for these deer to survive, and somehow they do it.
Absolutely,
they live a rough life.
They do, and that's as conservationists, it's important, give back. Land habitat management.
We do as much as we can.
Everyone thinks we're just out there killing these animals, but we take care of them pretty well.
We take care of the deer more than we take care of our own families at some point.
More than non-hunters.
Yeah, non-hunters, exactly. More than the people that are out there complaining about us shooting and killing deer and harvesting deer, however, whatever you want to call it. But we're out there feeding them especially now when they need the nutrition the most. We're out there giving them protein or whatever they need, the nutrition they need to survive the winter.
Improving their habitat, just everything.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. It's easy for animal rights people and PETA and all the naysayers to bash us, through social media because it's an image. It's what people see initially, and that's a dead animal. They don't see the behind the scenes. It's like anything else. They don't know what goes into it, the process. And for me, and I know the same as for you guys, I enjoy the process more than I enjoy that 30 seconds that it takes to kill and harvest that animal.
100%. Yep.
Right on.
The process is what it's all about. And you could say that with anything that anybody's passionate about.
Absolutely.
Behind the scenes, if you can respect what they do and the work they put in to do what they're doing, I mean, that's how you really appreciate stuff, in any sports.
Absolutely. All the dedication, time, work, hard work. Yep. The process.
We do
trust
the same thing.
The process.
Yes, trust the process. There's a method to all the madness.
Sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. So
yeah, and in this situation, for me, it didn't work out. But I ended up leaving. I had a couple other bucks, great bucks. Over for Pennsylvania, there. A couple of them were over 130 inches, and I found one of them poached along the road, and another one disappeared, never showed up again.
Is that the one that you had videos of with was it a drop tine or the drop tine buck? That one disappeared?
Yep, and the other buck with triple drop tine, he was harvested about a mile, I think, from where I was getting all the pictures of him in archery season.
Was he taken early, or did he move out there and get shot later?
It was just like pre to mid rut when that gentleman shot him. I didn't find out he shot him until I think like 2 weeks later.
So that buck basically
it was like
disappeared, and then you found out he was shot a mile or so away.
Yep.
So I bet you were excited to get to Ohio then, with all that going down in PA.
I was excited to get away. Like I said, I coached football, and our season ended end of the first week of November. So at that point, I was like, I'm ready, gear packed, ready to jump in the truck and get away. I have a couple buddies who had a lease out in Ohio the last 2 or 3 years, and they their third partner backed out this year last minute, couldn't do it, and they called me up and said, hey, you want to jump in on our lease? We have 190 acres to hunt out in Ohio. They had a whole bunch of great bucks on camera. And I said, yeah. I said, you know what? I'm in. So we went out there, and we were in Morgan County, Ohio. And they had seniority. There was a nice 150-acre parcel. Comes in off an old back road. There's a big gas line going through it. Huge ditch in the middle, and you take a 4-wheeler trail around the backside, and they would walk into the backside of the farm, or parcel, I should say. And I was about a quarter mile down the road at a little 40-acre piece. So we rolled into town 6 a.m. Friday morning, and it was raining hard. We're like, you know what? Let's wait till the rain moves out. Let's go sit for the afternoon. So 2:30 came. We got to the lease, started getting all our gear on, and I took the 4-wheeler down the road to the other 40-acre parcel and got in the tree. And I didn't even have my harness hooked in or an arrow knocked, and I had a 140 inch 10-pointer come right down the ridge right to me. And I was like, man, you know what? I'm going to Missouri. So I knocked an arrow, and I didn't even hook my harness up yet. And this deer came, and everything was wet. It just got done raining. And I was like, he came right underneath me, and I was leaning out over my hang on, and I smacked a branch that I could not see in my pins. Everything blended in. It was foggy. It was kind of darker, and it was wet. And I smacked a branch, and he took off. And I just kind of laughed it off because I was like, you know what? I haven't been in my stand 3 minutes in a brand new spot environment that I've never hunted. I was like, if this is the way it's going to be as far as deer movement, I'm totally in for it. Yeah, exactly.
That sounds like a pretty great encounter for the first 10 minutes you were there.
Oh yeah, it wasn't even. Yeah, absolutely.
I'd have been like just a stand that somebody else put up.
Yeah, so these two guys, awesome. They went out.
I would have been like, I'm sitting here for the rest of the time, guys. Peace out.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I sat there a couple days in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah. They went out in midsummer and hung all that with the anticipation that their other buddy was coming. And they said they called me and asked if I wanted to do it last minute. And I was like, yeah, let's get out there and get stands. And they were like, oh, they're already set up and the trail cams. I was like, that's awesome. I was like, so I'm definitely in. But yeah, so that happened the first, like I said, within the first 10 minutes. And I saw a bunch of other bucks.
What could you possibly think after that?
Oh, yeah, I know. I was like, man, that's a great buck. And I was pretty sure it was one of the bucks we had on camera, but I didn't upload all the pictures on my phone yet at that point to check. Awesome. But I was just like, this is going to be great. So saw a few more deer, a couple more bucks, a couple baskets around, I don't know, 100 deer. And I sat there. We stuck it through the weather. It was probably 20 to 30 degrees, 10 plus mile an hour winds, constant. Like it was either raining or snowing or sleeting the whole time. So we sat through that, brave the elements, and come Monday, they were like, hey, come check the cameras and pick us up on the 4-wheeler at lunchtime. So I was like, all right. So Monday comes around, I get down out of my stand, I go to the 4-wheeler, and I drive up the road to the 150-acre piece, start driving in to check on them and get them, check the cameras. And as on my way in from the road, like I said, gas line is on one side, there's this big ditch, and then you drive around the opposite side with the 4-wheeler. So I'm like 125 yards from the road, and I see all this torn up, like just trees and scrapes. Everything's just trashed. And I was like, man, this looks like a prime rut environment right now. And I get to my buddy, the first tree, my first buddy. I'm like, why aren't you guys hunting back there? I was like, that's destroyed. I was like, there's like 10 rubs, 10 scrapes. I'm like, it's totally trashed. He said, no. He said, there's not much deer activity back there. We've hunted there the past 2 years, never had any luck. And, when we come in the morning, we chase everything to the back of the farm. And I said, well, the deer always circle back. And they're like, nah, there's nothing there. So I get to my second buddy, and I said the same thing. And he said the same thing. So I was like, so you guys are sure that you're not going to hunt back there? And there really wasn't any trees big enough to get high up in. So it was either like 10 feet off the ground or a blind.
Yep.
So I got confirmation one more time. I was like, so you guys aren't hunting here? And they're like, nope. I was like, you're 100% sure? They're like, yep. So we get in the truck.
How
we
far
drive
away
to town.
were they hunting from there?
Probably about 250 to 300 yards. Okay. And there's a lot of like rugged terrain in between, kind of up and down some ditches and whatnot. But we get in the truck, we drive to town. I buy a pop-up blind. They're laughing at me. They're like, it's this big joke. I told them, I was like, you know what, guys? I'm putting a blind here. I'm going to hunt here Wednesday morning. There's a storm coming. I'm going to kill a deer. I'm throwing in the pickup. I'm going home. And they thought it was the biggest joke in the world. So our buddy was out there who he checked the cameras for us up until the time when we got there. Ben, he's a super nice guy. He came out to dinner with us that night. And he was laughing. He's like, there's no way. He's like, there's no way you're going to kill a deer there. There's not a lot of sign, hardly any pictures there. So we get back. I brush the blind in, real good. And I make a mock scrape. So everything's like set up perfect, So I let it go. Wednesday morning comes around and the three of us walk in together. And I hung one of my lift cameras on the trail going in, only about 75 yards off the road from where our truck's parked. And I checked the camera and they're like, why are you checking the camera? I'm like, I want to see what came through last night, They're like, well, we're going to our stand. So they walked in and walked right past my blind. And I checked the camera, had two smaller bucks on camera. I get to the blind, I get set up, and when the first deer I see up the gas line.
Did you brush this thing in at all, or is this just pop-up blind and you're just rolling?
Oh, yeah. I popped it up, brushed it in, blended it as best I could, and had a mock scrape about 20 yards from it.
But at this point, you don't know what buck's making all that sign down there.
Nope. No idea. And like I said, I got 2 bucks on that camera on my way in. So I kind of figured, I was going to see them. But like I said, I get to the blind. It's still dark. I'm set up. I'm in the blind. It's getting light. And the first deer I see on the horizon is about 140-inch 10. Beautiful 10-pointer. And I was like, man, I don't know how my buddies didn't see him. They either kicked him out or he just came through and it's too dark for them to see him. So he works his way down the gas line and I'm grunting. All of a sudden I see a doe come flying up out of the ditch, cut across the gas line into the ditch below me. And I'm like, man. So I start grunting and all of a sudden here he comes. I'm like, I can't believe this. Well, the trail was 5 yards from my blind. And I was like, if he comes here, he's too close and I can't shoot him out of the blind. So I unzip the blind. I step out with my bow and they're coming. And I'm like, I can't believe this. So here I am standing, half in, half out of the blind with my bow.
What the heck?
This is always something with
You're
you, Russ.
You're the craziest person I know with getting out tree stands to kill deer.
Yeah, not even like he's got his pop-up blinds and then his his box blinds on his own personal property, and he's constantly crawling in and crawling out and shooting at deer. The most movement I've ever seen out of it. Heard stories, haven't seen it. I would actually love to see this. Next time
he sees an opportunity and he takes it.
Yeah, I would actually want to film you for one season just to capture this on film.
It'll be like, Tom, stay here, run the camera.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go kill that deer over there.
Yeah, wait, what are you doing? Strap this GoPro to your head.
Hey, like Michael Jordan said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah,
that's kind of one way to put it. There you go.
You took that to heart.
Oh, absolutely.
So you were getting in position to make a shot if you needed to.
I was.
Wow.
I totally was. And the whole time that this is going down, I just keep laughing in my head. Like to be honest, I'm pretty sure I was laughing by myself, like a little smiling, ear to ear, giggling, like I'm gonna kill this deer, and they're gonna be like, I can't believe this happened, right?
Yep.
So he's coming. I'm half out of the blind. All of a sudden, he's below me. I don't know, 10, 15 yards in the thicket, and I can't see him, but I can see figure. I couldn't make out exactly the deer. So I'm standing there. I grunt one more time. I put the call down, he keeps going, and at about 50 yards, he pops out right into the clear cut where my mock scrape was. I'm like, this is like, he read the script.
So
you know?
now if you were still in the blind, would you have been able to shoot him now?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. I absolutely would have been. And the thing is though, is if he would have stayed on that trail with that doe, it would have went down at 5 yards. And he, like I said, he dipped down. He was 10, 15 yards down, a little bit further than where the trail came.
Yep.
And he needed to go out. He went 50 yards up and came out into the clear cut. And so at this point, I am out of my blind in the wide open. I mean, there is nothing to blend me in. The blind is actually behind me. So here I am on the ground in EV2 against a camo blind. And he comes out, puts his head down. I draw back. I'm at full draw, thinking he is on a rope. And he stops at like 45, 46 yards. And I didn't honestly have a good shot. He was like quartering towards me real hard. And I was like, man. So I stood there, and, it always feels like forever when you're holding your bow at full draw. But I know this went on for over a minute, and my left forearm started shaking. My muscles started going bad. I'm like, oh, man, I never practiced for this long. So I'm standing there. This buck's looking at me, and he knows something's up. He turns broadside, walks to about 40, 42 yards, and doesn't stop staring at me. So now here he is, nice 140-inch Ohio buck. And he was just looking at me. I was so afraid of him ducking the arrow. So it got to the point where I was like, I got to bury this pin and let it go. So he was still looking at me. I buried the pin behind the shoulder, shot, and I've never seen a deer jump an arrow or duck an arrow that hard. I mean, his chest must have hit the ground.
So he knew it was coming.
Oh, yeah, he was onto me hard. So
don't tell me this is your third shot of the season, and you're coming up empty again.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is one for the books in a positive way and a negative way. I mean, man. So I'm standing there in frustration. He didn't even take off.
Don't get 3 shots at a deer or at a buck.
No, absolutely, yeah. And like I said, that's it's fortunate in that aspect. And the thing is, he didn't even take off like he was scared. He just casually trotted away with his tail down like nothing ever happened. And I heard him go down to the ditch. And I stood there and I was like, you know what? I'm going back to the pickup. It's 125 yards away. I'm getting my hang on. And I don't care if I'm 3 feet off the ground. I'm going to be able to shoot all the way around me. So I literally walked out to get my arrow.
Abandoning the ground blind.
Yeah, completely abandoning.
What? Half hour into the first hunt there?
I think I was 15 minutes, maybe.
I think he was more like 10 minutes into it when he saw the deer and said, I'm ditching this ground blind. I'm going to need a shot.
Yeah.
You didn't even need the ground blind. You could have went in and sat on the ground.
Yeah, you should have just walked around in there and just said, fuck it.
I know. That's what I thought about doing.
Man.
So I get out, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to the pickup. I'm getting that. Hang on. I'm going to pick up my arrow. So now I gather my stuff. I'm walking on the 4-wheeler trail back to the truck. I get to where I think my arrow hit the dirt. I'm looking around, and I hear this like leaves going. And I kind of ignore it, thinking it's squirrels. And I hear it getting closer, and I hear like actual footsteps. And I'm like, I wonder what that is. So a second goes by. I'm looking down for my arrow, and I'm like, this is getting really close. So I kneel down, and there's about a 3-foot berm alongside of the 4-wheeler trail on the side where this deer was coming from. So I kneel down behind it. All of a sudden, I see legs coming up over the horizon, and that's all I could see. I'm like, it's a deer. So I pull an arrow out of the quiver. I knock the arrow. I'm looking, and all of a sudden, this deer puts its head down, and I just see antlers just racked, just bone everywhere. And at that point, I was just in such shock and disbelief that I was like, oh my God. For a second, it was like, what do I do? Do I stay squatted? Do I draw back? I couldn't believe what was transpiring.
How far away was the deer at that point?
30 yards. And so all of a sudden I see that he's coming downhill like at me. And when I say at me, he was on a rope. Like I was just pulling it in. So I'm like, well, I got to draw back. He's going to get too close and I won't be able to. So I'm behind this berm, knelt down. I draw my bow back sideways because the bow is laying on the berm. Come the full draw sideways. All of a sudden, like I scripted it. He turns completely broadside and steps out of the saplings completely broadside at 23, 25 yards. I literally sunk the pin and I sent it straight through the boiler room, and that deer took off. I could smell him. As soon as he came out of the brush, I could just smell him like typical rut-of-the buck.
Now, did you think this was the same buck as before at this point?
No. This buck, I didn't get a clear, sight of his rack or his body, let alone rack, but I knew it was significantly bigger.
Okay.
So I'm like,
so
this story just keeps getting more insane and more insane.
Oh, yeah, it is. And, I was laughing by myself, to myself the whole time. And I'm like, I couldn't believe what just went down. So I'm still looking for my arrow. And I was like, you know what? Screw that arrow. I don't even care about it now. I'm done with it. So I stopped looking for the arrow. And I'm like, I got to text these guys. So I'm trying to text them. There's no service. So we were using walkie-talkies. So I walkie-talkie. I radioed my buddies. And I was like, I'm going home. I'm going home. And I'm like trying to whisper but yell because, coming in on their end, it was somebody yelling on a walkie. So I'm like, I'm going home. And all of a sudden my buddy goes, what happened? What's the matter? Is everything okay? I'm like, I just shot a giant. And he's like, no way. And I'm like, yeah. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go up, get my arrow, check out the arrow.
What you should have said first was, I just missed 140-inch 10.
Well, I did say that then. I was like, I'm going to walk up, check out my arrow. So I'm walking up, in the grass. It's only 20 yards, 25 yards. And the radio just keeps going, psh, psh, psh. They're clicking, trying to talk to me at the same time. It's all static. So I get up there. I see bubbles. Arrow is soaked in blood. I'm like, it's done. It's all over. So at that time, I'm like, guys, what do you want to do? Like this deer ran down towards my buddy Ryan. So I was like, hey, I radioed him. I was like, did you see a deer? And he's like, no, but I heard something crash. So I'm like, man, I think that was him. I think he fell over. So I get my stuff together. I get back to my truck and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back to the cabin. I'm going to get some water. I'm going to get some things. We rented an awesome cabin, place called Burr Oaks Lodge and Inn, I believe it was called. So I went back there. It was only 5 minutes away. So I went back, grabbed some water, and gave them about an hour to get out of their stands and get back to the trucks. So I get back, and they're like, do you know what buck it is? Do you know what buck it is? I was like, I don't know, but all I know is that thing was huge. So do you think it was Chickenfoot? And Chickenfoot was the hit lister that we all wanted. Chickenfoot was around the year before, and as a big mainframe 10. And this year, we named him Chickenfoot because his brow tine looks like a chicken's foot.
Nice.
So we regroup and we start looking for it, and we're trailing it for a good 70, 75 yards. And we look down the ditch, bottom of the bank, and I just saw rack. And I was like, oh my God. And they were like, here he is. It's Chickenfoot. It's Chickenfoot. The funny part about it is that my buddy Ryan had that deer 20 yards midday at lunchtime, and he was napping. He woke up from a nap to this buck at 20 yards, and he couldn't do anything. He couldn't move. He couldn't stand up. He couldn't grab his bow. He was totally caught with his pants down.
That's like the worst luck ever.
Wow.
Oh.
Meanwhile, you had the best luck ever.
Yeah, I definitely.
Meanwhile, Russ is climbing in and out of his.
Are you thinking to
his
yourself,
ground
you just shot
blind.
the biggest buck of your life?
Yeah, it definitely the best luck ever on this trip. They said we got down there.
I would have left the ground blind there forever.
Yeah, I think it still sits there because I asked them to bring it back, and I think that's just kind of a monument of, uh, you know, uh, perseverance, really.
So
But
describe this buck a little bit more in detail when you got up to him.
so we walked down the bank, went down to it, and I was like, this deer's got to be 2 feet wide. And so I walked down to him, and I just, before they were touching him, looking at him before I even was, and I just stood there like, I can't believe this. Like it definitely my biggest buck to date. And I just couldn't believe how everything transpired and how it came together, from arriving, that Friday, it was pouring down rain, jumping in the stand, missing a buck within the first 3 minutes, to, braving the elements, sticking it out, not getting an opportunity at a nice buck again, to going to town, buying a pop-up blind, coming back, brushing it in, saying I was going.
Pop-up blind.
Yeah. They and that's the thing too, going from it being a big joke, and I had my doubts too that I was, it was a super aggressive move, especially land I didn't really know, and I was just going based off of, the scouting and their previous seasons there. But I was like, you know what? I'm just going to jump right in, and I'm either going to kill one or I'm not going to see anything. So, roll the dice, and that's how it panned out for me. But I like I said, I walked up to it, and I was just standing there looking at it, and they were touching it, looking at it. And finally I put my bow down, and I picked up the rack, and I was just like, it was, how it is. And you get up to the animal, you just, harvest it, and you pick it up, and you're just like, oh my God, like this really just happened. Your adrenaline's going, it all comes together, it's just a great feeling. And I looked at it and looked at them, and they were just like one of those smiling, mouths open, but like, how did this just happen? Like, how did this kid just do this? We were laughing at him, telling him no way, and he did it. He accomplished it.
It almost leaves you speechless, in that moment when you grab their antlers. That's what you work for all year. Whether it's a buck you're after or a new buck or a new state.
Absolutely. That's the thing. It was new terrain to me. It was my first year hunting Ohio, and did me well.
So are you going back to Ohio next year?
I would like to go back to Ohio next year. Like you and I were saying earlier, I'm kind of like, I just want to start doing a bucket list with states. I had success in Ohio last year. I'd love to go back, but I'd also love to go and try another state this year.
Have you filled the tag in Illinois yet?
I have not. I have passed up so many bucks, and I've eaten tag soup multiple years in a row, and I still love going there, though. I would love to actually go back there this year and try and fill tag. Rule of thumb on the Illinois farm is, we're really after booners, and they're there. We've seen them. I've seen them, in person there. Just didn't have a shot. We've had multiple, 170 plus inch deer on camera, and just didn't get it done. But they're there.
Yeah, and just because you're hunting in areas that has them doesn't guarantee anything. So
absolutely,
you know that as much as anybody by going out there a couple years.
Absolutely, and it pays off. Passing these bucks up, because we 2 years ago I passed up a nice 135, 140 inch 10 there, and this year Jake harvested a buck out there. It was the same deer. I think it ended up being like 155 or 160 inches. So it was a pretty nice mainframe, 10-pointer.
Good to see when you pass one and let one go, good things still come.
Absolutely, man. It's all about sacrifice. Everybody wants to reap the rewards, and everybody wants to eat, but nobody wants to cook.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so my Ohio trip was awesome, and then
Russ, if there's anything you would change about that trip, would there be anything that you would like to do differently? I mean, you were pretty successful, but in
I
a
was.
very unconventional way.
Absolutely. And I actually thought about that, driving home by myself, I have a lot of time to think. I want to say that I would have jumped into that spot sooner, but on the same hand, it took me those couple days of staying where I was to learn that that's where I need to be. I sat in that tree stand on Onyx, looking at aerials and all kinds of maps and property lines, and trying to figure out where exactly their stands were, on that lease, and where the neighbors were. We parked 125 yards from that blind where it went down, and right across the road. So, I don't know, what is it, 20 feet across the road from where our trucks are, they were logging timber. So there was stuff going on there. It wasn't just out in the middle of nowhere, completely quiet, nobody disturbing. I mean, there was cars up and down the road. There was a logger harvesting timber, and those guys, walking through the farm to the backside to hunt.
That sounds like an awesome property and an awesome hunt that you got to go on there. I don't know how you beat that other than maybe tagging out in the first 10 minutes if you would have shot that first buck.
Yeah.
I mean, then you don't get this crazy, awesome story out of it. So,
absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely.
That's awesome, that whole deal.
Yeah, it was a blast, and they're two buddies of mine from here at home, and know each other for a long time, and it was just great. It's just great camaraderie. Hanging out in a nice little cabin at night. Having a few beers. Frying up some food, and spend the day in the field.
Yeah, what better way to spend a hunt than in a cabin with some buddies and out of state, and have some success while doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it.
That's something I'm looking forward to happening, hopefully again this year, for a few of us and our friends. That'd be much enjoyed.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely want to go do the Ohio thing again. I didn't get to do it this year. It paid off staying home, but at the same time, it's just fun to go on those hunts with your buddies.
Yeah, that's what I look forward to.
Well, we have shed hunt weekend coming up. I think, what is that, middle of March? Up at George's.
I will not be there.
I can't make it either.
Oh no!
I will be in Savannah, Georgia.
I will be at my son's first birthday.
Oh, there you go.
Happens to be that Saturday.
That's acceptable. That's an acceptable
excuse.
That was
poor Planned Parenthood there.
Right. I mean, I can't get away from it no matter what you try to do. Can't have kids in October or November. Now you can't have kids in shed season either.
Yeah.
Oh man. That's something to look forward to anyway.
Absolutely. Yeah, and hopefully we can throw something together here for this fall and definitely get together.
Yeah, we'll all get together. I'm sure we'll have to maybe do a turkey hunt, or even maybe float down the Delaware River and do a little fishing.
Yeah. I still think back, Tom, I think one of my best memories hunting, or just being around you in general, is that trip to New York for spring turkey. We shot that turkey at the ski mountain.
Dude, that was insane.
Oh, man.
That was the funniest thing that's ever happened to me, turkey hunting.
Yeah, every spring, I think it's time for the annual spring gobbler post. Every year spring, I post that video again.
I'm surprised that hasn't gone viral yet.
That video is the best.
I laughed so hard. Tom's running out to grab the turkey. It's flopping around, and he gets to it. It jumps 6 feet the other way. He gets 6 feet the other way. It comes back the other way. Tom dives to the ground, and all of a sudden you see the bird pop up in the air.
I finally got that some bitch in a headlock.
That was one of the first videos I ever seen from you guys. And I laugh every time I see it.
You were like, "What the fuck are these
I'm like,
guys doing?"
this turkey hunting looks fun. This is great.
You turkey hunted that year, Cole.
I did.
You
I was
did?
into it. I wanted to chase turkeys around with like my bare hands.
We can do that this year.
We might have to.
I mean, you do have the turkey farm.
I do have a turkey farm. It needs
remember-
to be taken advantage of.
It was your brother-in-law.
Good times.
Your brother-in-law looks over, future brother-in-law, I should say, looks over and he says, this always happen? This is always like this? And I was like, no. I was like, but this is
No. Oh my goodness.
this is amazing.
He can't wait to go turkey hunting again.
Oh, I believe it. Hey, man, if that's your first experience turkey hunting, I don't know how you're not hooked. I don't know how you couldn't be.
Yeah, well, he's in the Army, so his time, he just can't get out, man.
Yeah.
So once he retires or gets out of the Army, he's in. He's in for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a great weekend.
Oh man, I would love to do that again. That was fun.
Yeah.
Sounds like we got to plan something for May.
Yeah, we do. We gotta. I mean, we have to do something, guys. Let's get it together here.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I think what is the spring opener date? Is it the last weekend April here for us?
I believe the spring turkey opens April 27th or 28th this year.
Cool.
Yeah, that last weekend in April.
Nice.
Pretty sure
Yeah.
it's the 27th.
Yeah, because I like to squeeze a week of that in before heading to Alberta for bear with the bow.
Oh yeah.
That's one thing I haven't done yet is I haven't killed a turkey with a bow. I've tried, but I've never gotten the opportunity close enough. I've had them out there, 100 yards, but I've never had one under 50 with a bow.
I accomplished that one time, and it was probably one of the most exhilarating hunts I've ever been on.
Yeah.
I missed 3 turkeys in one season with a bow.
Man.
Damn, Cole.
Yeah,
Well, the one with that bionic turkey.
The one I killed, I just didn't recover.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a tough one.
I'm convinced he's killed, dead.
He had to
somewhere.
have.
Yeah.
I mean, you smoked him.
Yeah. I'm not a turkey hunter, I've got some fun memories doing it, but it's just not.
We're gonna get one under your belt this spring.
It's gonna happen. It's got to.
I'll tell you, there's waking up early spring morning, it's like 45 degrees out, and the first thing you hear is that, just gobbling like crazy. Oh,
it gets your heart pumping, man. It's so fun, and it's just that's what you're there for, just to listen to that. Even if you don't get one, just to hear all that morning. It's a beautiful sound.
Yep, absolutely.
Just you in the middle of nowhere, and turkeys around you gobbling, doing their thing, and you're trying to cut them off.
Waking up with nature.
Yep.
Now you're kind of getting me excited for turkey season.
I'm very excited, and we got to pick up at least our goal. What's our goal for picking up antlers?
100.
We're going to focus on 100 sheds. We're going to try to pick up 100
sheds.
We're talking not between two guys here. We're talking, myself, Cole, Matt, Greg, Tim, Russ. If you want to join the party, we might have to up it to,
Russ told me
20.
before we got recording that he finds 11 in 2 years.
Yeah, so I'm not going to be a big.
All right, so we're shooting for 101 sheds.
Okay, I'm there for moral support and that one shed.
You got to find one.
I think I got a close to 50 last year. I don't know if I'll do that again, but I'm going to give it hell.
I wouldn't
Yeah,
mind.
you got it.
I wouldn't mind driving across the states on a little shed tour.
That's where it's fun, man. When you can go out there and find 60, 70 inches,
Yep.
that's when it gets exciting.
I would like to do that one day. I just can't ever seem to pull myself to take off a couple days of work just to shed hunt. I mean, I'd rather go hunting to take off my time, but that's just me and my personal opinion.
Oh, no, it takes a special type of person to take vacation for shed hunting.
Yeah, for sure.
I still have the Ohio lease, 190 acres there, and a couple other spots I could hit for sheds.
Well, I got those trail cameras in Ohio, so one way or another, I'm going to Ohio in the next 2 months.
Well, I might make that trip with you because I would like to scout for our fall hunting trip.
Yeah.
I gotta go. It'll be a weekend trip or it'll be during my shed trip, but
I'm in.
I'm going.
I'm in. Count me in.
I'm in there like swimwear. Just call me.
And then we can focus on turkeys after all that.
All right. We need to pump the brakes. Pump the brakes.
Yeah.
All right, fellas. Well, it was great talking to you guys tonight. I have to hit the sheets here. I'm pretty tired.
You're probably only waking up in like 6 hours.
Yeah, my alarm's going off at 4 a.m., so not a big deal.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm all amped up. I'm going to go start turkey calling in my basement or something.
Yeah. Appreciate you guys having me on here tonight. And yeah, like always, it's always good talking to you guys. We have to set up some hunts here in the future. Definitely something for spring and fall. And a shed hunt. You got me all riled up.
I think you're our first three-peat guest, so thanks for coming back on again.
Yeah.
As always, the stories are entertaining, and that's what we like to do. So
he has the most entertaining stories out of anybody we've had on here.
He keeps it real too. He doesn't hide the cool stuff.
Yeah.
To make it fake and to fit in with the industry and all that bullshit that people are gonna hate me for saying, but whatever.
Yeah, whatever. It is what it is. You keep it real. That's what we're about. Relive the hunt, keeping it real, and that's why we love what we do.
Absolutely. Hopefully, I'll come back. Hopefully, I'll come back from Alberta with another great story.
You're gonna get attacked by a bear, and then you're gonna have to shoot it.
Yeah, you're gonna climb
from a tree limb.
Yeah, you'll be hanging upside down from the ladder stand, and you'll end up pulling your bow back that was on the ground that the bear ripped out of your hands.
And then the X's render will capture all of it.
All of it.
In Alberta, sending it directly to your phone that fell out too, that you found 2 days later.
Oh yeah.
That was a cool story. You don't even have to tell us that one now, Russ.
That's why we really
You got to go live it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I got some exciting news. My taxidermist called today.
Ooh.
Oh yeah. Speedy's coming home.
He's going to be done next week.
Very nice. Very nice.
Super excited about that.
It's always a good call to get.
Get some pictures out of him.
Yeah, for sure. And we got to post some pictures up of Russ's big Ohio buck. And if anyone hasn't seen it already, we'll be sure to do that.
All right, guys, be sure to follow us. Instagram, Facebook. We don't use Twitter much, but we have it. YouTube, we're keeping updated on YouTube. We're getting a little bit better at that now, since a few of us have more free time than normal. We're not hunting right now. We're shed hunting. That's about it. So we're trying to get this stuff up on social media as quickly as possible. As soon as we get it out, we're putting it out there. Just keep following us. Stay interactive with us. Send us direct messages. Hit us up on Facebook, however you guys want to do it. Let us know if you want to come on the show. Let us know if you have anything you guys want to talk about. We're here. We're all ears. We want to keep producing some content for you guys, and hopefully you guys are picking up little pieces of stuff that you can learn from. You can take this on to your next adventure and learn from us. We don't get into too detail of learning, which a lot of podcasts do. They'll focus on one subject. We kind of bring in the whole story, and hopefully you guys are picking up one thing. Like in Russ's story, for instance, you can get out of a ground blind and shoot a deer.
Get out of the blind.
Just get out of the blind.
Get out of the blind.
So, guys, just stay hanging with us. And we appreciate all your support.
Thanks again, guys. Thanks again, Russ.
Yeah, thanks, Russ. Have a good night.
Peace.
Wow. Who's? I am Alexa Vesta. Oh my God. Who is Brie Lauren?
Are you looking at the people we followed recently? Brie Lauren looks really
old. Oh my God.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, I am Alexa Vesta. That's the one that has. Oh no, that's not the one.
Superman shirt. Jesus.
Brie Lauren, yeah. That's what's up.
Mm,
I'm recording, by
I
the
know.
way. Oh.
So when are we gonna get this thing rolled?
Who is Tabitha, sight singer?
Ooh,
Ooh-wee.
where's that photo? I'm gonna search her.
Tabby Bear.
Tabby
Happy Bear.
Bear.